Hi, I'm Steve Good with the Scroll Saw Workshop. Just want to do a little product review here tonight, and the product we're going to be reviewing are the Olson scroll sanders. And before I show you the product, I'm going to go ahead and show you this little piece of fretwork that I cut out. It's a little nameplate. And when you cut out a piece of fretwork like this, a lot of times you'll have some pretty tough areas to sand. It's difficult to get into some of the recesses with sandpaper, and the power sanders just definitely won't get you there. So a lot of times you end up using files or whatever you can actually get into these recesses to make these patterns smooth. You can remove the burn marks, or if you have any, or remove some of the feathering on the back of the project. So Olson and some other companies make a product, and in this case it's the Olson scroll sanders. This is the 1/4 inch wide strips, and this particular pack is the assorted grits, and it comes in 180, 220, and then you get 2 of the 120 grit sanding belts. So you get 4 belts total, and they're pretty handy. I don't use them real often, but I have used them occasionally. Generally, if I really want to sand a project to some pretty good detail, I'll use one of these. The way they're made is you have the sanding strip in the middle, and then on each end you have this little plastic tab, and that tab is what fits into the clamps of your scroll saw. Now in this case the strips are 1/4 inch wide, and that's pretty important for you to know, because depending on how wide they are and how big the hole is in your table will determine whether you can use these sanding strips or not. Now I'm using the DeWalt DW788 here for this demonstration, and the hole in the table is pretty small, and this 1/4 inch sanding strip is as wide of a strip as I can use, and they do make them in different widths. So basically what you do is you just insert the sanding strip down through the hole in the table, just like you're doing your blades, and then you want to go ahead and insert this plastic clamp in the upper, or plastic insert into the upper clamp. And when you do this, go ahead and push it all the way to the top. Then we can go ahead and tighten the tension on that. And now I'm going to go down and do the bottom, get it clamped in. And now when we come up and set the tension, we have a little sanding strip here. Let me take this accessory off here so you can see it better. We have this sanding strip here that we can use to sand a project with. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and do a little demonstration here to give you an idea of just where this thing is handy to use. So I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit, and then I'll show you some technique. There are several different places on this particular name plaque that would be hard to get sandpaper into. One would be in the interior of this O, or the inside of the P. The other would be at any small intersections, like right there at the base of the P, and even some tighter areas like between the H and the O right here. That can be very difficult to get into. So these little sanding strips are pretty handy for that. Now, I generally turn the speed down a little bit, but you can just use your judgment on what you like. And once you get these going, you can see now I can move this piece into this sanding pad and really get in here and do some fine sanding around the edges of this pattern. So it's pretty handy for getting into these small areas. Now of course, since it's a strip like this, we can insert it in the interior holes just like we would any scroll saw blade. Okay, here you can see I've got the sanding strip inside the O, and I can go ahead and do some sanding on the interior of this O and get it nice and smooth, maybe remove any burn marks I might have had while I was cutting. Now this is also one of the limitations of these sanding strips, and that is some of the very small interior holes you're not going to be able to get the sanding strip into to do the sanding. So if you have some very tight holes like this one right here, you're not going to be able to use them. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But all in all, they do a pretty good job. I don't use them a lot, like I said, but there are certain times when they come in real handy, especially if you have a tight area somewhere and you've got a burn mark there and you need to remove it. These are great for that. I'm Steve Good. I hope seeing this product helped you decide whether it's something that you can use in your workshop, and we'll see you next time.